you know what? One day I'm going to have a set that, like, makes me look good. But right now, I'm 6'8" when I stand up straight and taller than doors, which is unfortunate because I can't just use the door as a backdrop. Instead, it's just, I'm giant. So here's my set. I'll probably do this for all my videos. You get to see this. You get to see this. You know, I could probably do this and have like a better setup, but then that's just going to exacerbate the problems with my knees. So, ta-da. Anyway, I saw a new movie from 2020. Keep forgetting that's the year. It was called Underwater. It was directed by a man named William Eubank, I believe is how you pronounce it, or maybe not. I don't know. He did a little movie called The Signal in 2014. That movie fucking sucks. It's terrible, but in the best way possible. I recommend you all watch it because it's awful, but incredibly entertaining in my opinion. So I was pretty, when I found out he was directing this, all my excitement was both doubled and depleted because I was thinking that this movie could be okay beforehand, but when I saw that, I'm like, oh, it's going to be bad, but maybe a good bad. Instead, it ended up being honestly pretty decent. Much better than The Signal in terms of quality. Maybe not as entertaining, but definitely a better movie. This movie went into production in, I think, early 2017. TJ Miller was one of the big highlights. Everybody's like, wow, TJ Miller's going to be in it. Then the sexual assault allegations happened. Then he called in a fake bomb threat. Then there was some misconduct on the set of Silicon Valley. He went insane. I think he was always insane, but people found out about it. So this went from post-production to, oh God, we're going to wait until all this stuff cools off. And it's 2020. People have mostly forgotten who TJ Miller is. Maybe not quite, but so they released this movie. And it's pretty decent. Besides, TJ Miller's probably the worst part of the movie. His character, very bad. However, the main character in the film is played by Kristen Stewart. You might know her from a little movie called Twilight. Bad movie, good actress. She's not good in that movie, but you know, that's okay. She was good in Charlie's Angels. I've heard great things about Personal Shopper. And honestly, there's a new movie coming out this year about her playing an actress in the 40s, 30s, I can't remember, and it's based on a true story about her thinking that the FBI is tapping her because she's standing up for people's rights, but is she just doing it to show that she's a good person? It looks pretty good. I can't remember the name of it, and I can't remember the actress because I'm a dum-dum. Anyway. She's great in this movie. TJ Miller is not. However, there is another cast of 4 other characters. There's the captain. There's the research assistant, Emily, who's pretty much like an intern, apparently. There's John Gallagher Jr. is playing a guy named Smith. That's his name. Almost forgot it, but I remembered. Smith. There's another guy named, I think I want to say his name's Rodrigo in the film. That's being played by Mamadou something. He was in, if you've seen Unicorn Store, directed by Brie Larson. He's the love interest in that. He's great. He's a great actor. I was very excited to see him in this. I did not know he was in it. And I was surprised. And I was like, sweet, this is awesome. Those are the main characters. 6 of them. Obviously, hour and a half, 6 people. Shouldn't be too hard to make them all cohesive, whole stories. That did not happen. But before we begin with that, let's go over a quick little synopsis of the film. No spoilers. This is just in the trailer. So I guess a little spoilery because trailers are super spoilery. So Kristen Stewart and these other 5 people, they work in an underground drill area. monsters attack. They have to get to point A, or from point A to point B so that they do not die. That's it. It's very simple. It's very straightforward. It's honestly a pretty simple creature feature. I wasn't expecting a lot from it. I was expecting some cool monster designs because I had seen them in the trailer just for a second. I'm like, hey, that looks pretty decent. I was expecting some good shots of like underwater, and I got some. And I was expecting a good performance from Kristen Stewart while being surrounded by a bad script. And I kind of got that. So, you know, I'm pretty happy with myself. Let's talk about some of the positives. Real quickaroo. Kristen Stewart, as I keep saying, she's really, really great in this movie. There's some really good bits of dialogue for her, and there's some really awful bits. But throughout pretty much the whole thing, she does a pretty cohesive job at keeping the film together and making sure it's not bad. There's a monologue right at the beginning of the movie. It's a good monologue. It's not great, but she delivers it well. And it's pretty good. I think there's one line that's like, it's easier to be cynical sometimes. And that whole part of the monologue is pretty great. I really enjoyed that one. There aren't a ton of monologues in the film. They're all by her. They're all like in her head. But there is one at the very end of the movie. It's awful. It's terrible. It almost ruins the climax of the film. However, the climax is insane. I loved it. It was a great end to the film. There are a few little nitpicks, and it has a terrible monologue, but overall, it's a really, really great climax. Also, besides Kristen Stewart, the guy who plays Rodrigo, the guy who was in Unicorn Store, he's really good in it. I really enjoyed his character. As well as there's some the cinematography isn't fantastic in the film, but there are some really, really good shots, especially in the last 30 minutes. I was really, really I kept going, ooh, that's a nice shot. Especially because in the first hour, there aren't a lot of great ones, so I was kind of shocked when they just kept coming one after the other. Like I said before, the creature design's really good. I really, really like the creature design. There are a couple you see, and they're really good. But the best design are the underwater suits they're in. They're like these massive suits. They remind me of something like either Master Chief would wear or the guys from Mass Effect. Even Gears of War. There's these big bulky suits, but they have all these moving parts and they look like these cohesive elements, and they have really cool designs, and they look bulky, but they look practical. It's really, really nice to have all this attention to detail on the suit, because you're seeing it for the majority of the film. So it's nice to see them really put the effort in. I really, really liked the suits. I kept going, I like this suit. I was probably obnoxious to the people in the theater because I just kept going ha to the suit. And they were like, what is this guy doing? But I was going insane over these suits. There's the music in it isn't great. To be honest, the composer has done work for Quiet Place and Logan, and they're pretty good soundtracks. This one, it felt kind of all over the place. However, there is one where they're working on one of the suits later on in the film, and I really like the track there. Besides that, But that one track, ooh, that's a good track. And then this also will go into the con pile, just like the soundtrack. But there is part of it that's a pro. A lot of the deaths in it, yes, people die. Spoiler. People will die in this horror movie. A lot of the deaths are pretty uninventive. There's not a lot of memorable ones. But the third and the final, I'll just say there's a couple good deaths. There's a couple. but the rest bad. And then that's pretty much it. There is a reveal later on in the film that actually caught me off guard. I was like, what the fuck? That shook me. It left me shook. And like I said, the script is not as bad as I thought it was going to be. The Signal's biggest problem was that it was trying way, way, way harder, too hard to be really, really smart. And it ended up being really fucking dumb. Like too dumb to handle. It's such a bad movie. I can't get over it. Especially because this movie's pretty good. But it's not great. The script isn't great, but it's better than I expected and decent. There are some elements that are like, that's pretty fucking dumb and you're trying to be smart. So those are the pros. There are a lot of pros. There are a lot of reasons to see the film. And I did have fun with the film. Before I get into the cons, I do like the movie. I can say that it's the best movie I've seen this year. From this year, sorry. I've seen a lot of great movies in the last 9 days. Just not from this year. This is the first good movie I've seen from this year. And honestly, I'm guessing it will probably stay that way for a bit, because Januaries have pretty terrible releases. But let's move on to some of these cons. First of all, besides like the 2 characters I've already mentioned, the rest are pretty nothing. Like, they're nothing characters. They're one-dimensional. They have like some sob stories attached to them that are just like pasted on to try to add character, but they don't. All the mannerisms that go into them to try to make them have little bits of character just feel super forced, and none of them feel natural enough. They don't feel like people. They feel like a 5-year-old wrote them, which makes sense because, like I said, the script's not great. It's pretty good when it involves Kristen Stewart. Anytime else, it's bad. The worst example is T.J. Miller's character. He's like eccentric to a fault. He's just very annoying. The acting's also fucking awful on his part. It's just a terrible character. I wish he wasn't in the film. I wish they'd somehow just edited him out, because everything involving him was pretty bad. I wish they had taken him and pushed him somewhere else. This is a horror film, so of course there are gonna be some spooky elements. However, even though this film had some good cinematography and had some good atmosphere, they never build up to any of the scares. There's like one time where you see something out of the corner of your eye, but most of the time it's just literally nothing. And then, in your face! Like I said, I'm fine with jump scares, but build up to it, please, or don't overuse them. And instead, there's no build up, and they overuse them. Which was very, very annoying. I would have preferred some ambiance coming in to really rattle my bones. But instead, I just go, oh God. Don't frighten me, please. And then I walk out of the theater, somewhat disappointed in the spooks, in the scares. I just want to be like, I'm going to have a heart attack because of the dread that was built up. Instead, it's like, I'm going to have a heart attack and I'm going to die and I'm going to be disappointed. I want to die happy. Happy for being scared out of my pants. But that didn't happen. As well as I said before, a lot of the deaths are uninventive. Some of them you can't even see properly. And one of the other more intriguing characters in the film out of the cast of 6, which is super intriguing, they're the first to die. It's very annoying. It also feeds into some harmful stereotypes about horror. It would have been nice if that didn't happen. And it's so early on. You don't have to kill somebody like a main character right off the bat. Just, you can wait until like that last half hour. I don't give a shit. I just want some good character moments, some good startles. You don't have to kill anybody. It's not, you don't need a body count in a horror film. No one has to die in a horror film. You don't have to do anything. But it just was a little too cliche for my taste. I would have liked some imagination in the script. And in a lot of cases, the script was lacking in that department. I mentioned the monologue at the end, really bad. A lot of characters, not well written. Too many sob stories for no reason. But the movie's good. I was surprised. I like this movie. It's not great. I wouldn't even put it at really good. I would put it at slightly above average, which, was more than I was expecting. I was expecting to walk in and walk out and be kind of disappointed in the way my life has turned out. But you know what? I'm only slightly disappointed in the way my life's turned out. And this movie, I enjoyed it. I had a blast with the last half hour. I thought the last half hour was pretty great. I really, really enjoyed it. There's some bad moments, and some of the characters in it I do not like, but I really enjoyed it. One final thing I'll mention about a pro that I totally forgot to. The set design is really good. I really like some of the sets, and a lot of them have a great sense of claustrophobia in it. And those were probably the best sequences in the film, when it feels like these characters are just being like crushed beneath the giant waves, It's really, those are some really good scenes. And then other times the sets are like these wide open spaces, and it has a sense of dread, but they never use it, and they never really nail in that, hammer in that nail. I would have liked, like I said, some more build up to these scares, but they don't use the tools they have right there, which might make it worse. If they just didn't have those tools in front of them, it'd be more understandable, but they do, and they don't use them, and that's annoying! But I still think the film's worth it. Last half hour is really fun. Kristen Stewart's really good. Some of the score is really good. Some of the cinematography is really good. It's just mostly some of the movie's really good, and some of it's really bad, but it evens out to be actually above average. So I'm going to give this film 6 out of 10. Here's my ranking for the year. 2 movies, I know, right? If you like the video, thank you. I appreciate it. I hope you watch a really good movie. I love movies. Tell me your favorite movie in the comments. Do that. And don't forget to like. Don't forget to comment. Don't forget to subscribe. And don't forget to tell your grandma. Anyway, guys, I'm going to go record another video on what I watched. That one was bad. Spoiler alert. But have a wonderful night. Goodbye.